without the prior written consent of the licensor. Y'all owe me some money. Y'all need to take my shit down. You need to take me off your site. We don't work together no more. We don't do business no more.
Here on Top Music Attorney, we don't put up with people trying to take advantage of artists or producers, and a lot of those people are companies. And today we have a new company on the chopping block. And actually this was something that went up on the Summ 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 HTK channel. And when I initially saw it, I was like, first of all, so sorry he's dealing with this. Second of all, why didn't you call me? Third of all, I did talk to him today and was just like, look, I'm going to react to your video and I'm going to go through the evidence that he presents, the contract, the problem, and I'll do this in the way that I literally do it as a lawyer. I'm in the middle of my day right now, but this is so important that I really wanted to get this up because you guys learn a lot from these videos of how we kind of dissect this, and then also what do you do when you're in these situations and people are taking advantage of you. You know, we'll use this as a case study, but also this will be a little overview for Summ 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 as well on my proposal and what he should do. So without further ado, let's jump into it so he can go through what happened.
So as I log into Facebook, this is basically what I see, right? So I'm just gonna push play. I screen recorded this earlier. I'm just gonna push play and you guys, you'll get it.
Sampling in this is a whole new level of sampling. So all you have to do is generate a kit, and what's cool is it's gonna give you a ton of different effects. You can just do so much with this.
All right, so that's me, obviously, as you guys can tell by the voice and the ugly mug in the video. What's jacked up about this is that Output's not supposed to use this content anymore. So I'm gonna go in this video and basically tell you guys why I think Output is trash. And I think it's jacked up kind of the way that they treat creators who work with them and kind of the process, because again, this piece of content, this ad that they're running on Facebook and on Instagram, they are not allowed to use my name, my image, or my likeness. We had a contract. They ended the contract. And so when they ended the contract, they're not allowed to put out any new content on me. And so
Case overview. So Krystle, I worked with a company and I had a sponsorship deal, I had a collaboration, and they paid me to make or use some of my content. And then lo and behold, I pop onto Facebook today and I see an ad that they are running with my stuff. And the allegation is that the contract is null and void. They don't have the rights. So let's keep going.
all right, guys, so as you can see here, Output reached out to me on February 1st of 2022. So we started doing content together because they reached out to me, not the other way around. I had a contact there named Jen. Jen was awesome. She was always super polite. She was always super nice. Every time I spoke with her, she was just super cool. As you can see here, we have a long thread of just, you know, working together and talking to each other and communicating and all that stuff with each other, right?
Be a teeny weensy bit careful, guys, when you know, put people not on blast, because so he's saying very nice things about Jen. That's why I'm making this comment. It's okay. But, you know, typically if you mention someone on the internet and you talk about a situation, you generally are going to be okay if you're telling the truth. But if you are putting someone on blast, there's always the chance defamation, slander, false light, all kinds of claims where they're like, you know, defamed me and my publicity rights and all this stuff. So that's why, you know, typically we'll redact, you know, from, for example, names of specific people. So just, you know, the rule of thumb that you might want to keep in the back of your minds, but generally it is okay to share information, people, parties, so long as you are telling the truth.
So Jen was cool. She hooked me up. She got me in there and, you know, we started working together. So after I had shot a couple of videos, Output came back to me and they asked me, could they use some of my videos in some ads? And they were like, we can pay you, you know, to use those videos in the ads. We know you've already shot them, but, you know, we'll pay you for, you know, for your work. And I'm like, that's cool. And they were like, well, it's only going to be for a year. So the contract and the terms of all this is only good for a year. So, you know, you signing this contract is basically telling us that you're going to allow us to run ads with this content for 1 year. And I was like,
all right, the 1 year thing is really important because just as I do for any other client, I go, all right, did you guys sign something? Yes, we did. And he's going to walk through the agreement as well, but I have the actual agreement directly. And in the contract, he's like, we agreed to a year. We signed for a year. I understood to be a year. In the actual contract, it says 3 years. It goes from the date of signing, which is, you know, in May of 2022, and it goes from the effective date, which is when we signed, for an additional 3-year period. So this is really important as far as just making sure that what's in the agreement reflects what you agreed to. And this thing is overlooked quite a bit. So I'm calling this out because it will play a little bit into, is there copyright infringement? Is there still a valid contract as of today? Was it actually terminated? We're going to answer all of these questions.
Like, I'm fine with that, whatever. I'm cool with that. I like the output, I like arcade, I like thermal, I like, all those portal, all those plugins. So it wasn't like I was fabricating how I felt about any of this stuff. I was being honest. And so I said, well, I guess I'm being honest. They're going to pay me for my honest opinion. You guys can go ahead and use my opinion. So that's fine. But we are only using it for 1 year. So then from there, Jen introduced me to Maggie, and Maggie is in charge of, I can't remember exactly what her job is, some kind of promotional job in the company Output. So as you look here in my email thread, you see me and Maggie have had communication back and forth. Some of these have more messages than others. We'll go into that here in a minute, but you'll see right here, it says completed DocuSign. So this was a document that I had to sign, which was basically my content license agreement with Output. So you'll see I signed that on 5/22 or 5/2/22. So that's when I signed my initial content agreement with Output, okay? That's gonna be important here in just a moment. So now I'm still working with Output. Everything's still good. I've probably at this point done 5 or 6 different videos. And Maggie reached out to me. So Maggie reaches out, as you see here, this is June 15th, 2023. Please keep in mind these dates are very important because these next 2 weeks, it gets kind of weird.
Yeah, the dates are important, but what I do like is that he has all of his emails, he has all the receipts, right? So again, you bring me something, you tell me about your problem, I'm gonna say, okay, do you have a contract? Send that to me. Do we have relevant emails? Send those to me. Do you have screenshots? And if you don't have a contract, something written, then we're relying on what you guys agreed to verbally. Verbal agreements are enforceable contracts. It's just tougher to prove what one side said, but sometimes we have written agreements with stuff in it that is wrong, right? In this case, it sounds like it wasn't supposed to be 3 years. This was only a 1-year deal.
I know we're talking about June 15, 23, but as you can see, it is May of 2024 and they're putting out videos with me in them and they're not supposed to, So I signed, this is a year later. So Maggie reaches out to me and she said, hope all has been well. I was scoping out this video on YouTube, love the flow, would be interested in letting us use this video for marketing purposes. Let me know. So again, they have to contact me before they use my videos for marketing purposes. That's why she's messaging me.
We'll
she's
talk
not
about
just
that.
using the video. So I respond back and I'm like, a gentleman named Kevin Lau has reached out to me and I'm going to create some sponsored content for you guys in the next week or 2. I'd rather that you guys use that because I'm putting a lot of effort into the music and the video. But he said that to have a script and a rough draft of the video and all the stuff I don't normally do. He said that no script is fine, but I have to send over drafts and do all this other stuff, right? But this...
Okay, so there's an actual request being made for, hey, this is a new thing that we would like to do something with. And that's important because it shows that the understanding between Summ 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 and the company was that they needed to request permission. Even if it doesn't say that in the contract, that's something that you can use as evidence as the course of conduct of the parties. Now, where I also go to, and again, he'll go through the actual contract, but let me just show you. So here's the actual agreement. In Schedule 1, there actually is a video link. It goes, this is the thing we're licensing. Okay, so anything that is not this particular video, they do not have applicable rights to, right?
Point, before she hit me up, Kevin had hit me up. I don't know who this Kevin Lau dude is. I really didn't like our interaction. I was probably not going to mess with Output again if I had to, message this dude again. Because it's like, I've already done 8, 9 videos for Output. And now you're telling me that I got to give you a script. I got to give you different drafts. I got to do a bunch of edits. I mean, for me, that's not worth the money. Like, what you want to pay me to do a bunch of different stuff, well, I don't do that shit. And so if you guys follow the channel, I tell you guys all the time, whenever I do any kind of sponsored content, I never let the company see the content first. I don't do revisions. I don't do a script. I don't change my mind. I don't waver on something. I just give my honest opinion on whatever it is that I think of the product, So I ended up going back and forth with this guy, Kevin, and I ended up deciding that here with Kevin, I'm going to end up putting out this product. So you can see here, me and Kevin are kind of communicating with each other or whatnot. So on the 26th, I sent him the video. So this was the video I sent him. I never released this video on my channel. But just so that you guys do know, the video is still here. So how to make different beats in arcade, June 26, 2023. Glad I left this video just hanging out in my archive, but I never published it. So as you can see, it has no views, no likes. It's just uploaded. It's private, but it's the video. You know, I mean, it's the whole video. I did what I was supposed to do. What up, guys? Welcome back. Some age, some simmer, some shimmer, some delay. So I did everything that they asked me to do on this partnership. Okay. So I send it over to Kevin. So then you see here, it says, hey, Charles, just a quick update. We chatted with Output. They decided that they don't want to use your video to go live. We'll still pay you for all your work. You put into making the video. You should get payment in the next few days. But ultimately, they decided that they don't want to post the video. Let me know if you have any questions.
The payment thing was a question that I have, right? Because if there's an actual contract, I look at the four corners of the contract and I go, this controls, right? Yes, there are exceptions. We look at emails. If stuff's inconsistent, great. But in the contract itself, it didn't define how much he was getting paid. And so additionally, there was more content that was requested and or provided, right? Which he noted as he kind of went through this. So even though in that exhibit 1, you know, it goes, this is the particular thing that we are licensing, you can add on to it. And they're like, actually, we want this and we want this. And so every time, typically we do what we call an amendment, right? It's actually an addendum, but you do an addendum to the agreement. That's very formal, but at a minimum, just make sure you have it noted in emails, which can be used to prove if someone hasn't paid you or followed through, okay? Become your own record label, which is literally if you're like, hey, I want to start a record label. Cool, I got you. Understand the entire music business. I want to set up my LLC. I want to do the marketing. It's a lot. So for example, sync licensing, for example, music marketing, it's significantly cheaper than anything you would ever get from a law firm as far as all the stuff that comes with it. And you want to make 6 figures from your music career and you want to do this for real. Like, I'm going to give you what you need.
I'm really sorry for the sudden change, right? So now for me, that's kind of weird because again, I've done a whole bunch of content with Output and all this other stuff. So then the next day, the very next day, I get this email, or maybe 2 days later, or the next day, I get this email for June 29th. It says contract with Output is expiring. So now all of a sudden my contract's expired, even though my contract should be good for like another 10 months because these contracts go like basically from year to year. So I'm confused and I'm not understanding what's going on. So I read the terms of the actual contract. So let's go ahead and come back here into the contract. So I read the terms of the actual contract. And I was going to make a video on this, but I just didn't in the past. But so as you look here, the terms and termination. This agreement may be terminated by either party upon 30 days prior written notice to the other party. 30 days notice. Where the other party has materially breached this agreement and has failed to substantially cure each breach within 30 days of written notice.
So you guys can see this a little more clearly. So again, the 30 days written notice, really important here, okay? Because, you know, there was a procedure that had to be followed in order to terminate this agreement properly. And so from what I can see, he got an email. Now, part of my question was, well, it was from an affiliate kind of thing. Was there a separate contract potentially signed? Assuming not, let's go down the path of this is the sole document that they put together for this thing. And either way, if there is going to be termination, there was a requirement that Output actually provide written notice, which they didn't because it's like, hey, 30 days is coming. We're just letting you know. And that didn't happen here. So just one thing to keep in mind, termination was purportedly, allegedly not effective.
I haven't even been told what I breached in our contract. I wasn't given a 30-day notice. I wasn't given anything. And then it says right here, effects of termination. The provisions of section 4 through 9 will survive the termination of this agreement. Notwithstanding anything in this agreement to the contrary, the parties agree that after the termination of this agreement, Output is not obligated to remove any social media posts or other uses incorporating the content that was created during the term. Output agrees it will not make any new post, incorporating.
Here we go, section 6, effects of termination. So right off the bat, provisions 4 through 9. Where's the 9? I'm just curious where 9 is. Is there a page missing? There's not a page missing, okay? So this is what I'm talking about as far as just, you know, typos and anyway. So when we have survival, it just means if we terminate, here's the stuff that still survives. And it's like limitation of liability. We're going to talk about this. You know my opinion on limitations of liability. But just to say that, for example, we will continue to do the things with your content that you agreed that we could do with your content. And that's normal. P.S. For content creators who make stuff and you're like, you're going to use this in your episode on YouTube, you know, forever and ever, I give you an irrevocable right to do this thing. Now, does this contract actually say that? I'm going to go back and we're going to look at that language. But where I think Summ 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 is going is that he thinks that this termination occurred for cause, because it does say that anyone can just terminate for whatever. They just felt like it. But you do have to give at least 30 days. The way he's kind of reacting, it goes, well, you didn't tell me what I breached. What did I do? Right? And I think he's going to get a little bit more into explaining why he kind of came to that conclusion.
Otherwise using the content after the term without the prior written consent of the licenser. So I guess now what I'm getting at, because now I'm mad. So I held off all that because I didn't want to just be angry man with a rant. Y'all owe me some money. Y'all need to take my shit down. You need to take me off your site. We don't work together no more. We don't do business no more. You cannot use me to promote your product. Have I left some of the stuff up on my page because I did a review on it? Yes, because it was still an honest review and it's still my opinion of whatever the product is. I don't have to furthermore promote you in the future, you know, so take my shit off your ad or there's going to be a problem or you need to financially pay me. Y'all owe me some money.
Okay, sorry. I enjoy his energy, and I just, you know, I get it. That's why I'm doing this video. I don't like this stuff at all. So let's go back. A couple things I just want to dive into. So first of all, the license. All right, so we go, licensor hereby grants Output a worldwide, non-exclusive, he can use his stuff elsewhere, non-transferable, they cannot give this right to anybody else, royalty-free, we're paying you one time and no more monies will come after this, to use, reproduce, store, display, perform, distribute the content through any service owned, operated, developed, controlled, or distributed by us in all media now known or later developed, including websites, mobile apps, and newsletters. Hereafter, the Output services. All right, that's all normal. Okay, so we usually see this really broad language of like, I get to, you know, I'm licensing your stuff. I get to use it for everything under the sun. In connection with the Output services and the promotion and advertising of Output or the Output services. Okay, so we see that. We're like, well, looks like he consented to them using his stuff for ads. What's the problem here? Let's go back. The license includes the right to A, create a compilation of the content, right, with other content by other people. B, format, configure the content, so like to edit it. C, change titles, descriptions. D, edit the content for length and formatting. E, create and distribute short excerpts of the content for promotional purposes. Again, you give us the right to use this stuff for promo. Except for any licenses granted herein, licensor will retain all right, title, and interest in the content. Okay, so cool. You get to keep ownership of your stuff because you're just giving us a non-exclusive right to use it for these limited purposes. Okay, and then also Output has no obligation. This is important. Pay attention to this. Output has no obligation to use or display the content on the Output services and may remove the content from the Output services at any time for any reason and in its sole discretion. Okay, so Sum doesn't seem to like Kevin very much. Okay, Kevin is just on the shit list. And as far as a company's ability, in this particular case, Output's ability to be like, hey, I know you did the thing, I'm going to pay you anyway, just letting you know, I'm not going to use it. They actually put that in the contract for that reason. That at any point, if we just decide we're not going to use it, and I think, Summ 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 goes on to speculate about, why that this all happened. But contractually, they have the right to do that. They still have to pay him, right? But sometimes people get upset about, I did this big collaboration. I don't care that you paid me. It was supposed to be like this big payoff because you were going to release it and then you never do. And so people get upset about stuff like that. So pay attention when you see that sentence, whether you want it in the contract or not. So one thing that I am not liking about this license section is that it does not specifically reference the exhibit, or not exhibit, the schedule. So Schedule 1, and that's so important because lo and behold, when people use stuff that they are not allowed to use, we have to beat up the contract and be like, this is, how it's supposed to be. You owe us damages, all this stuff. So typically in the license section, we go, you have the non-exclusive, non-transferable, royalty-free license to do X, Y, and Z related to the content defined in Schedule 1. It doesn't say that here. Obviously, we can infer and say, well, obviously it was supposed to just be that thing. And then later on, there was discussion about further stuff. And so that further stuff was then included. So we have to put all of that together. But for an abundance of clarity, that's how we deal with it. Okay? All right, so let's go to this limitation of liability section real quick. So to the maximum extent permitted by the applicable law, except with respect to liability arising from licensor's indemnification obligation. So meaning Sumn Summ Summ's obligation to pay attorney's fees if he gets this company sued for some kind of reason. So they're like, except for that kind of situation, in no event will either party, this is at least either party, we beat this up all the time and we're like, when it's one way, I just can't stand this. At least it's both ways. I still don't like it, but at least it is mutual. So either party will not be, is what it's trying to say, liable to the other for incidental, indirect, special, consequential, or punitive damages. And the reason why we don't like this is because when you have to go and now sue Output, the reality is you can't seek your attorney's fees, which is what consequential damages are. You can't get punitive damages if you can prove that this was ill will and motivated by, a malice heart and all this stuff. So it just is annoying to me because these limitations of liability make it really difficult if you want to sue. Not that we want to, escalate this to a lawsuit, but sometimes you do need to sue. And if you sue, it's going to cost you like $50,000. So if you pay $50,000 and win to get your $20,000, well, you're still in the hole. You didn't actually win, right? So we don't like any of that, but it goes without limitation. You're, releasing claims in regards to lost data, lost profits, cost of procurement of substitute goods and services arising from, related to the agreement, however, caused under any theory of liability. And so it goes on to say that the total amount cannot exceed, right? The cumulative damages, the liability, cannot exceed the greater of $100 or amounts paid by Output to licensor under the agreement. So Sumn Summ Sumn has a great channel. Let's say he got $2,000, $5,000. I don't know what he got for this actually, because it doesn't say it in the contract. So it does say, it goes the absolute maximum that you could seek from us in a lawsuit is the amount that we paid you or $100, whichever is greater. Okay? So it's just, back to my, whatever you're paying your attorney, it's probably going to be, more than the deal that you did for this. All right. So that's why we don't like that. It is in there. Okay. Music Attorney is your #1 legal resource for artists, producers, and record labels. Get contract templates, one-on-one legal advice, free master classes, and everything you need for your music business. Go to topmusicattorney.com.
And so why this gets extra frustrating for me is because a long time ago, I brought up this letter right here. So I know a lot of you guys remember this letter where basically somebody sent emails to all the companies that I work with and they just told them all this stuff. I know this might be random email, but I have been a little bit concerned about one of the people who advertises for you in the past few weeks. I would like to remain anonymous in this situation for fear of being ridiculed and harassed in real life. I don't want to cancel anybody or tell you guys not to do business with someone, since that is your choice and who you deal with, and that is up to you. I would also appreciate if this contact form wasn't mentioned, because I have worded my concerns to the creator directly and would like to avoid any negative interactions and harassments from him. The creator I'm talking about is Sumn Summ Sumn HTK. I know he is a content creator and can act any way he wants to on his platform, but seeing him act this way just makes me concerned for who sees his content and associates his actions with you. Here's some links from his live streams that made me concerned for his health and his status as a creator with your company. It just doesn't seem professional. I know it's his choice, whatever, you get the fucking point. This person over here is ranting because I was doing whatever I was doing on my live stream, which I wasn't breaking any laws at all. I've never broken any laws on a live stream. So even if I was drinking or whatnot on a live stream, I'm 43 years old. If I want to drink on a live stream, I can get as hammered as I want to. I get it.
In the middle of all of this, there's always like other actors who come in. Okay, so in this case, we have Alpha Tron Official. P.S. Sometimes I need to find these anonymous people, and as a lawyer, I have ways of finding them. From emails, from usernames, all kinds of ways, okay? And so we have someone who sent an email saying, Summ is doing this stuff. It's reprehensible. You don't want to associate with this guy. So Summ now potentially has a claim against this other person. It has nothing to do with the breach of contract issue with Output, but potentially sometimes we have to go down and have like multiple demand letters and things going out to different people for different reasons. And in this case, if it resulted in this company disassociating and terminating its contract with Summ, that was an interference with business opportunity. That is a legal claim. And the loss of business opportunity that Summ experienced because of this person was the result of those person's actions, and Summ may be able to seek damages for those losses.
I shouldn't, but I'm just saying if I choose to, I'm not breaking any laws. That's not something that somebody should be sending letters to these companies. And so some chump who I know who did this, I know who this person is, they sent this over to all these companies. So now when I said, remember the dates why this is all important, the date on this is June 27th. So all of this stuff happened where they contacted me, they wanted me to shoot a video. I got the video to them the 26th. So then they reviewed it to 27th, but the 27th, this person sent them that email to somebody at Output. Then Output reached out to Kevin and like, we can't do it because we're getting complaints or whatever the case is. So at the end of the day, I just thought I'd put this video together because I am pretty pissed off. I went out.
Okay, so before he wraps up, let me just make one more note on that. So, for the third-party offender, we'll call it, who sent this email, they might have a defense and be like, well, all I did was just alert this company to videos that you have posted publicly, right? They could have discovered this stuff all on their own, right? That's a fair argument. So typically what I do with clients is that I walk them through all this. I go, what are the prospective damages? How much have you earned from Output that you're not going to be able to earn moving forward? Does it make sense to move forward and actually pursue something against this person? What are the potential defenses that they have? I think without question, you have an interference with business opportunity because someone actively went out of their way to try and paint you in a light that was less favorable. But I mean, Sum's right as far as what, he can do what he wants on his channel. It's his channel, it's his videos. But let's go ahead and recap as far as with Output specifically. We have a contract which, at this point may or may not be enforceable, right? So we have the issue of, it was a 3-year term. We are still in that 3-year term, technically, but is that enforceable, right? If the actual understanding was that it was supposed to be 1 year, that's likely going to be the controlling term. And then it sounds like they agreed to additional extensions and renewals, but that the content, and this was Sum's big issue here. He goes, the specific content that we viewed together in that Facebook ad and what's currently in distribution right now, right, selling their stuff, I did not approve. So they ripped my content. So for me, there are two main issues that come up. One is breach of contract and that they did something outside of what was permissible, which was you don't get to just use stuff for your advertising purposes, for any purposes, without my consent. We have the publicity issues, which is what he kind of talks about. He's like, you used my name, my image, my likeness, the nil, right? You used all my stuff without my permission in this kind of way, which is also PS, a breach of contract. But then I go so far as to say, well, is this copyright infringement, right? So if this was a piece of content that he never gave them permission to use and they went and ripped his video from something else and then put it into an ad, could be argued to be copyright infringement because as copyright owner of the video that you make, the audio visual that you make, you have exclusive rights to distribute that and to copy that and to make it into little other things. Derivative works is what we call them. So now, how much money can Summ get? Let's see what he had to say and then I'll give you my final thoughts.
Output to take my shit down and I want them to pay me because you guys owe me money. You can't just use my name, image, and likeness without, you know what I'm saying, giving me money, especially when you guys have breached the terms of the contract in more than one place. So you didn't give me 30 days. You didn't give me a written 30-day notice on why you wanted to break or terminate the contract. You guys are illegally using my video. So you guys need to probably reach out to me sometime today. I know you guys are going to see the video because I'm definitely tagging you motherfuckers in this shit. That's what I got for you guys today. I know this isn't my normal video.
All right, so if you guys are interested in having Summ come on the show and we can talk about this more, drop a comment down below. But here are my thoughts as far as damages, because as far as who do we pursue, how hard do we go at this, it doesn't even make sense. This is how I analyze it. We go based on what did they pay him in order to license the content, and was it on a per video kind of basis? So that gives us a place to start, right? So let's say it was the $2,000 per video. And so at a minimum, we can go, you were supposed to pay me a licensing fee for this other piece of content. You never did. So at a minimum, $2,000, let's say. And then under copyright law theories, we can go after actual damages, right? So part of that can include what's called disgorgement of profits. So we go, if you use something belonging to someone else, and you commit copyright infringement, then we can disgorge all the money that you made as a result of using that copyrighted content. And then the big boy that you guys know I love talking about, statutory damages. So, it's a little more of an oddity when it comes to YouTubers and YouTube videos. They typically are not registering copyright for their actual videos, but let's pretend he did. If he had copyright, like an actual piece of paper, a registration for the particular video that they took without authorization, then Summ 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 could seek statutory damages because the infringement occurred after he got the registration. And under the law, willful statutory damages are up to $150,000 per infringement. So on the low end, maybe a couple $1,000. On the high end, $150,000. As of recording this, Output has not reached out to Summ Summ Summ, so I think he's strategizing how he wants to move forward. So hopefully that overview will be helpful, not only to him, but also for you guys dealing with these exploitative companies who just willy-nilly decide they're going to do what they're going to do, not let you know about it, and just hope you don't find out. But you know what? We do find out, and we're going to call them out on it. This is a crazy situation. Make sure you drop your comments down below, and I'll see you guys on the next one.